I see you go home. You go home a lot.
Yeah. I fell in love with Ghana all over again, man. You know, I mean, what probably did it, you know, with all, especially with the whole thing that went down with George Floyd, all that stuff that went down, it made me feel like, you know, I mean, maybe Africa is where we really, is where I need to put my concentration on. Because at one point I felt like, you know, was America really for black people?
Right.
I felt that way at one time, you know, but it was emotional with everything that was going on, you know, and I sat and I thought about everything, you know, and I was like, you know, let me get a home at home just in case I need to run away. So I got a home there. I go home every other month. But the most important thing I'm doing at home is I'm building a school. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
You don't find all the fucked up shit, and you can find.
Well, I tell you what I did. Oh, hello. You got a home in Delaware. You got a home in Philly. You got a home in Ghana. I'm about to start telling jokes. I'm about to get me a bit. I'm about to start telling me some jokes. Y'all, I ain't got but one home. You got 3.
So, you hating? I'm building a school in Ghana. Did you know that? I'm giving back. I'm building a school in the village. Now, one thing about Ghana, on most of Africa, you know, we have like government schools, which is considered public schools, and they have private schools.
Right.
Government schools are the ones supposed to be free, but it still got a few expenses here and there.
Right.
You know, those fill up fast or they're overcrowded with kids. And then if you don't get any time and you can't afford to go to school, guess what happened? You don't go to school.
Right.
You just hang around the marketplace, help your mother, whatever.
Right.
So I said to myself, you know,
you're gonna set up a school.
I'm gonna get a private school and let all the kids get a scholarship.
How many students will be allowed to go to your school?
200. I'm looking at it's gonna be equivalent to like 1st to 9th grade. They recently made 10th, 11th, 12th grade free.
Okay.
So I'm like, let me go to the one that's not free.
Right.
Which is 1st to 9th, and maybe 25 kids per class.
Right.
And then let them all get a scholarship. You know, where I'll be pretty much paying for this out of my pocket.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You'll be blessed with that. Did you always want to do that? What made you decide to say, you know what, I want to build a school?
This is why I did it. So when I came to the States, I didn't get to go back to Africa till about 15 years later.
Wow.
I went 15 years without seeing my brothers and sisters.
Okay.
You know, because people don't understand, you know, this thing is easy.
Right.
Especially coming from a black continent. To come to America is the hardest place to get a visa to.
Yeah.
I'm at one point, I finally made some money after doing Next Friday. I bought all my brothers and plane tickets to come to America. They went to go get a visa and they got denied. You get denied 90% of the time. Jamaicans get, you know, when you come in from a black country,
right.
Europeans don't need visa to come here.
Right.
You know, when you come in from a black country, you have to prove that you're going to take your ass the hell back. They have to know that you're going to go back. So how they know that? You got to, like, if you're married, your wife got to be there. You got to have kids. You have to show you have money in that bank. You have a reason to go back.
Right.
You know, but you can prove all of those, you get denied. So it took me 15 years to go back because, of course, I had to start from nothing. I had no money. Once I was able to make some money, I said, let me go and see my people.
Right.
So I went back. And then
that had to be a big change. 15 years, people change. Oh, there's a lot of change in 15 days. There's a lot of change in a year. 15 years.
At that moment, where I went to in my little town or close, it's a town. It's not quite a village.
Right.
It's close. It looks villagey enough. And I remember being at this place as a little kid. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was like 3 years old. I remember being there. I remember 3 years old. And when I went back. I actually went back there at 8 years old again, but when I went back 15 years later, it looked the same to me.
Uh-huh.
You know, then I remember going to the marketplace to buy stuff, and I'm like, I see kids in the marketplace doing school hours. So I'm like, why are these kids not in school?
Right.
Then I found out that the government schools fills up.
Right.
They can't afford to go to school, so they're just out here helping their mothers sell
fruit
or whatever they're doing. So I'm like, okay, so I went to the nearest school, the local school. At that time, this is the year 2001. I just did the movie Next Friday.
Right.
So I went to the local school. I'm like, you know, what it costs to go to school? And I found out at that time, it was like $80 a year for a kid to go to school. I'm like, we spent that shit at the bar.
Right.
You know, so I remember going back and like grabbing like 4 kids, talking to their parents. I'm like, you know, let me pay for their school for the next whatever amount of year. It wasn't much, $2,500, whatever it was, cost me. And I paid for them to go to school. And I'm like, then I started thinking about, I need to do something about this. Yeah. You know, I can't go pay for every kid to go to school. Maybe one day I would build my own school. And when I got to the point where I was able to do it, which is now, decided to make